Star Wars, best place for below average Star Wars.
Hello there, and welcome to the Star Wars Show, a UK-based Star Wars podcast with in-depth discussions and analysis sprinkled with some silliness. I am the Geordie Jedi Pete.
And I am Jason Hondo Ling.
And we are back to talk about an event we've mentioned on a few different episodes. It finally happened last weekend. That is, of course, the second annual Dorchester Strikes Back. It was DSB 2025. And we have a very special guest on this episode to talk to us about it. It was DSB 2025's very own DJ Obi-Wan. It is Mr. Steve Galloway. How are you doing, bud?
Hello there. I'm well, mate. Are you?
I'm recovered, yes, and I'm feeling good. It was a great... Looking back, it was such a great day, and I'm really happy we're here to talk about it and talk about how good it was.
Yeah, thanks for having me. It's an honour to be on Star Wars once more. I think it's about my third appearance now, is it?
Is indeed the hat-trick. You've got the hat-trick of appearances.
Oh, do I get a match ball for that one?
You'll get a match ball signed by me and Jason, so very valuable.
Yeah, can I just have it signed by you? Or don't worry about Chase.
Cheers, mate.
It didn't take long.
No.
I think to start things off, and I'll let Jace take this because obviously you are... talk us through the journey of how Dorchester Strikes Back came to be in the first place. Obviously yourself and Ben Rivers from the Jedi Archives UK store, that's down in Dorchester. Obviously sort of the pioneers of the event, if you want to take us through that journey.
Yeah, it was after several visits to Jedi Archives, which I found in Brewery Square via the wonderful world of Facebook. Being a Star Wars geek as I am, it was a heaven, a shop dedicated to the films and the series and everything Star Wars and all the different games and stuff. And after several visits and getting to know Ben, we were chatting, and obviously I told him the sort of stuff that I'd done with Steve and James with Jedi News and the events and that. And we were talking about how in the Southwest, in particular, or the South Coast, there's nothing Star Wars. You know, we've got Comic Cons. They're a lot smaller to the ones that are further up the country. And I said it'd just be great to have a Star Wars event and partly to showcase all of the great, different communities that have popped up through Star Wars. So obviously last year we threw an event together when the shop was based at Brewery Square. And Brewery Square kindly let us take over for the day. And the idea was I'd organised for some of the costumers to come down. Ben was putting up stuff in the shop, and I was going to host stuff on the stage for the day with a sound system. And then Steve and I, obviously cousins, done stuff in the past. Steve kindly agreed to come down and give me a hand, and it was a very good job that he did because the event exceeded what Ben and I expected. And I've talked about this so many times, but I'll just go through. We had the plan for the opening. Steve was up. Steve originally just came down to be hands, but ended up as my co-host on the stage, and we did 8 hours up there. But that first point where we were stood in the square, we'd set up. It was a 10 o'clock start. The guys were getting in their costumes. We were going to do a big announcement, and they were going to troop out. And to begin with, the square was virtually empty, and I was like, "Oh, what's going to happen here?" And I turned away from the square to look at where the guys were lining up to come out into the square. And I turned back around, and all of a sudden there was just a sea of people. And it was amazing day. We had loads of fun. We did competitions. We did spot prizes. The kids all turned up in fancy dress, and they had their plastic lightsabers fighting in the middle of the square. It was just a great family day, and by the end of it, absolutely exhausted. But everyone said, "Are you doing it again next year?" And it was really great reaction, which you know we just thrived on. So obviously over the last year, um, obviously I've talked about it on here. I managed to convince you to come down, Pete, for the weekend. Steve agreed to come down again and has been absolutely amazing helping to organise everything for this year. And a lot more of the groups also. We had more costumers agreed to come down. And this year, as well as last year, we had the Mando Mercs and the 501st UK Garrison. And this year we were joined by Sabre Guild and a couple of the guys from Rebel Legion, which was absolutely great. So yeah, the event this year we moved it. One of the biggest fears of last year was being outside and at the square. It just wasn't suitable for uh, if the British weather turned on us. We had a slight rainstorm last year, which we managed to deal with. But we knew if we had a wet weekend, it would blow the event out of the water. So Ben went to um, the Corn Exchange in Dorchester, explained what we wanted to do, and they kindly agreed to let us host it there and give us some support. So yeah, last Saturday we all turned up there at about 8 o'clock in the morning, ready to set up to our new home at the Corn Exchange. And yeah, it was a great day. And I think the event evolved even further than what we expected it to be.
Well, so that's my first time there. Obviously, I could not make the first one due to travel restrictions, but I was able to catch a late flight on Friday evening from Newcastle to Bristol, where you two handsome Jedis were able to pick me up and went on a crazy drive, some awesome Jace driving, shall we say, through the country roads from Bristol to Dorchester, to where we were staying, and obviously early start the next morning straight away to get up and get set up, ready for DSB 2025. Steve, obviously you were a big part of the stage and the hosting that took part in DSB one. Obviously continue that into DSB 2025. So just overall, what was your thoughts on last year's event, like after it finished, and then obviously like how do you feel we've evolved it going into this year's?
Well, last year, as I say, I was on my way down just to basically be backup for Jace. I didn't expect to be grabbing a mic and being on stage for 8 hours, so that was a bit of a surprise on that day. But to be fair, we've evolved it. We've taken the issues from last year. Issues is probably the wrong word. Because we've learned. We've learned what we needed to do to bring it forward. We were a bit more organised with the music this year, and it was just a bit more background organisation and just getting things lined up, ready to go. I think we've evolved it massively. I think we've doubled the footfall because we've had over 1,000 people through the door this year. I think we were on target to do a similar amount for charity and money wise. So I think we've done just as well. To be perfectly honest, I think we've done an absolutely amazing job. And evolving it onto the Corn Exchange did give a different angle onto the venue because it did start to rain last year, didn't it, Jace?
Oh yeah.
We started to sheet up and we were looking at each other going, oh my days, this is going to go wrong, this could go wrong. We were finding carrier bags or sort of bin bags out of shops so we could put them over the speakers that we'd hired. And it was getting a bit desperate. So actually going indoors and having a full PA system available to us with mics, and I brought my DJ equipment down with me as well to help that out as well. And I just think we were just a bit smoother, a bit slicker. Room for improvement, yes. Were people happy? Yes. Was it a community event? Yes. And I think we've ticked a lot of boxes. So I think I think we can all sit back and pat ourselves on the backs a bit. But I'd love to go again next year. People have asked me already, and I'd be up for it if we went for it.
I would too. I think that's see what happens in a few more weeks to cool off. Obviously, Ben Rivers, who owns the Jedi Archives UK store in Dorchester, again, who's one of the founders with Jace. It's not available for the podcast this evening. Obviously, since sort of packing up and dealing with Dorchester Strikes Back, obviously working all week, and then they've had a big Saber building event this weekend as well. So there's been no rest for Ben, sadly, although so that's a good thing if you want to shop. But yeah, so I imagine once it cools down a bit, we'll all have to get together and have discussions about what the future looks like. Let's talk about the layout of Dorchester Strikes Back 2025. So obviously we were inside the Corn Exchange, and we also outside. So let's talk about inside first. So we had the live stage, which was set up to host guest interviews and have quizzes set up and competitions to get the public involved, which was really cool, and also just to provide just music and an atmosphere for those in attendance in the main hall. And then we also had the Jedi Archives UK store had a portable setup inside there as well, where you could buy some awesome goods, everything from sort of t-shirts, bags, caps to Black Series figures, vintage collection figures, lightsabers, unlimited cards, quite a few different things. But Jace, just talk us through who else was set up in that room and what you could access in that main hall.
Yeah, so obviously, the Mando Mercs first of all had their setup just along from Jedi Archives, which thanks to Steve, um, who who this year remembered to bring the jail cell, there was a great opportunity for people to have their have a bounty put on their head. And it was something that the Mandos were doing for the charity, which was one of the charities that we decided to support as well, which is their this year they're raising for blood cancer. Um, and they're also doing a blood drive where members of the Mando Mercs are donating blood. So that's their fundraising thing, which we joined in with. And obviously, what they were doing is they were putting a bounty, or you could pay a donation, and they would put a marker around the person's neck, and then the guys dressed in their Mando costumes would hunt you down around Dorchester Strikes Back. And I think that proved to be quite a popular thing. It certainly kept the Mandos entertained, and that took the general public. They also had Glyn, who's one of the Russelors, so the armourers of the Mando Mercs. He was there talking people through about the process of building your costume. So it was a really good opportunity for people to come along, find out about becoming a Mando Merc. And yeah, I got to say a huge thank you to Glyn for everything he put in on the day, and all of the Mando Mercs. They really went all out to make sure that it was a great setup for the guys to look at. They were also demonstrating Sabak, so people could look and see the idea of the famous game from the the films. So it was their stand was obviously hugely popular as the day went on, and the Mandos, I think they thoroughly enjoyed it. They love causing a bit of chaos. They're not quite as chaotic as the as a Jawa, but they're getting close to it. So they did a really good job there. Also in the hall we had the Fab Collab Collective, which is a new cosplaying group here in Dorset. They had guys dressed up. We had Darth Maul, a couple of Jedi's, Rey, um, Princess Leia, and stuff like that. And they came along. Um, Simon, who's one of their founding members, helped us out last year, and he brought R2 along to go on stage, and he brought R2 along again this year, although he wasn't on stage for safety reasons. And Simon was trooping as an Imperial Guard, which was an absolutely awesome costume. So yeah, it was nice to have a local group as well that fairly new, forming themselves up, and they were there entertaining the crowds and just really joining in with the fun. And then obviously, we moved outside this year. We had an outside area at the rear of the Corn Exchange, which really allowed us to showcase the Sabre Guild. It was their first time. John and Alyssa came along, and I think they had a thoroughly amazing time. They seemed to enjoy it. They had lots of kids and adults going out and doing sabre training with them, and that gave us something. It was something that I would have liked to have done last year because I think it would have been great fun in Brewery Square. But being able to do it outside the Corn Exchange was really good fun, and it gave the visitors something else to take part in, go out and keep the kids entertained. And also in the outside area, we had the Wagamamas stand who kindly came along and supported us. Wagamamas last year, they're based in Brewery Square, and they were a huge support last year, feeding the guys. So those that had come to support us, they kept us all fed. And again, this year, they came along, did a pop up, and fed visitors for free to and obviously promoted what they do. But they really gave back to the event, which was a really, really great thing. I got to thank the guys from there for doing that, and I think that added an extra bit. And obviously, in the main foyer of the Corn Exchange, we were lucky enough that they have their own cafe, which was open so people could go and after they'd had a mooch around, sit down and have a coffee. Um, and I should mention that we were also lucky that we were joined by Matthew Dell, who was an extra in Andor and Rogue One, and he came along, was doing autographs, chatting to people, and it was really great to have someone from the Star Wars universe talking to people about their experience, about the making of it. And Steve did a great interview with him, which was great that we could do that on stage. And it wasn't publicised, so it was an extra bonus for the crowds that were turning up.
No, it certainly was. Certainly was awesome. Let's talk about the live stage. This was obviously something that was on Dorchester Strikes Back 1, but sort of evolved it for Dorchester Strikes Back 2. Steve, let's go to you. Obviously, you were pretty much in charge of all of the tech and sort of making sure that we all sounded great and that the ambience in the room was good with the music. Just talk us through how you approached that. Obviously, you came very prepared and kept us all on track, which I was very grateful for, but take it away, bud.
Yeah, last year, me and Jace were working off playlists cobbled together on laptops at last minute. This year, I'd spent a bit of time learning how to put these together, but also use some DJ equipment that I purchased for myself to actually do it. So, learning from some like Star Wars Celebration and what I've seen there of what the ever impressive Atomic DJ, Blonde DJ, and DJ Elliott do. These celebrations, they just absolutely have got into a cocked hat of how to do these sort of events. So I didn't want to copy what they do, but I wanted to take some essence of what they do to bring some atmosphere to the event. So that was one of the things I felt we needed to do, and I think we actually got there. But I just want to put a special shout out as well to, I think it was Dave, who was the in-house technician and caretaker for us for the day from the Corn Exchange. So he spent a lot of time with me getting everything set up, because I was new to it. It's my first ever gig as such with the equipment. So yeah, big shout out to him, because he really he stayed with me, made sure we got all the mics working and everything was really good. The sound was great in the room because it's an organised PA for that type of thing. So they have movies in there, they have theatre groups in there, they have dance groups, amateur dramatics. So they do a lot in there. So it's a multi-use event per event. Situation where they can put on so many different types of event in this one room. So we benefited from that because we could link it to their PA system. So that was a massive bonus. And obviously we got a schedule together, which was pretty stacked, to be fair. We got the UKG were doing a piece. Rebel Legion also did a piece. We've got James Burns, obviously my colleague from Jedi News, my gaffer, was there as well. So James had got a stand there from Jedi News. I also interviewed James. We threw an interview together with Matthew Dale at the same point as well for later in the day, which went down really, really well. So yeah, we just tried to keep the stage busy because that's where the entertainment is. But people could go and do their own thing and come back, and we weren't like knocking people with like 1 hour, 2 hour sessions. It was like start 15, 20 minute interviews or sessions on stage.
Well, it certainly was, and I want to talk about that because obviously the stage flowed really well. I think it was really hectic, but the fact it was three of us on there meant we would take breaks as such. When I say breaks, I mean could go and mingle with some of the other people on the floor and make things happen there as well. So talk us through your live segments, Steve, and what you enjoyed about them.
Interacting with the crowd was always a good thing, but obviously getting up on stage to interview one of my best friends in James. James does a hell of a lot for the Star Wars community and fandom, and it was just nice to actually showcase a bit of what he does and repay some of that friendship with him. So that was one of my highlights. And doing Radio 1138 live, it was a short and sharp version of it, but it was still short and snappy, and we got it landed. But yeah, it was just all day on stage. It was just total enjoyment. Just see people's faces, and I know we've got the shot of the three of us, a selfie, as the doors have opened after the troops finished, and we just stood there, and it's just like we're just like looking at each other, and going, "Yeah, let's do this." Turned around, took a selfie, and then when you actually realise when you look at the selfie afterwards, it's like, oh my days, how many people were in that room? It was packed, and that was really made me think back about the weekend and just see what we've done and how we've grown things, and it made me really proud to see that.
It wasn't. I remember going out just before sort of doors opened because obviously the troops went out and did a troop around Dorset Square before obviously we opened the doors, and I went out to see what was going on, and I could see people lining up. And I was like, all right, okay, right, it's happening. Like, be ready because like there's people here that came, which is fantastic. I had the privilege of my first ever live interview that I've ever done on a stage was with a member of the UKG, that is Mr. Esles Mosque. He was great, so thank you very much, Esles, for being a great sport. Hopefully my jitters didn't show, but I think we had a great conversation. I certainly enjoyed it, where we talk everything from sort of how we got into costuming to what life is like in the UKG to, just some of his favourite things about Star Wars and being a fan in general, which was really awesome. Jace, I know you interviewed the Mandalorian Mercs. How did you find that? I know it wasn't your first time interviewing them.
Yeah, I've got to quickly jump back to what Steve said because I knew there was something I'd missed from the hall, and I got to say huge thank you to James and Sarah Burns for coming down and supporting the event, bringing down some goodies to sell that again went towards raising money for the charity. Also, James was building and demonstrating the newest Lego kits because obviously James is heavily involved with the AFOL Lego community and in particular Star Wars. So it was great to be able to having him there was a huge thing for both Steve and myself because obviously James has welcomed me into the Jedi News fold as well. So it was awesome having him there and everything they did, and also getting a chance to have a catch up because we don't often get to catch up together. But yeah, then going on stage, obviously I'm really close with the Mando Mercs because they're gradually dragging me. I was aiming to have a costume done for this year, but it wasn't to happen. But I'm definitely, the more I'm getting there, I'm getting closer now. But I'm a nervous builder, which the guys are helping me. And as I said, Glyn's given me advice, and all the guys, and that was part of getting them up on stage. Obviously, talking about what it was to be a Mando Merc and their experiences. And I was joined by Wayne, who is the Alarad, so the head Mando for the UK, and also from Glenn, who's, as I say, one of the Russellors. So he was there to explain, what you need to do and how to build your armor, and it was just a really great chance to catch up with the guys. And they're great. Wayne loves being on stage. Glyn, I think he embraced it, which I was really really pleased to see, and it was nice to get him up there with us as well. So yeah, overall that was a great experience. Always loved talking to the Mandos. And as I say, that was one of the reasons I wanted to do the event in the first place, was to promote how these guys work and what they do.
No, certainly, and I've really enjoyed watching you in your element talk about that, which was really, really good. Another fun fact, obviously, we spoke about how Jedi Archives were there with their portable store, as well as the Jedi News booth, also having some things for sale. I did manage to pick up sort of a Rebel Alliance pop socket, which I love. I haven't put it on anything yet, but on my new phone I will be. And I also managed to pick up from Jedi Archives. It is the Revenge of the Sith action figure, so it's from 2020, sorry, from 2005. It's Jedi Padawan Zet Jakusa. I just think whenever I see sort of something to do with the Lucas family, I need to get it. And obviously, this is like the original figure of that Padawan from the scene in Revenge of the Sith where Bail Organa attempts to question the clones over the Jedi Purge and ends up running away pretty quick. I know you guys, I know what you're going to say. How did you find time to do that? But, everyone knows who knows me knows I love Star Wars merch and I need to buy some. But did you guys manage to pick up anything cool?
I
I
think for me, I
I
think it was the patches.
Yeah,
I think that was about it. I grabbed the pop socket as well, but I don't think I grabbed much else, to be honest.
no.
Speaking of the patches,
um
Jace, talk about the patches and talk about where they're still available, please.
yeah, obviously, last year we did a range of patches. There was one that was available to sell, and there was a couple of special ones that were done for those that helped out. Again, this year, Ben kindly did a set of patches, or two patches. One which was given out to the guys that were helping out on the day, which was a great Mandalorian one. And then there's one that is alongside last year's patch, is also available this year on the Jedi Archives site. So the money from that is going, or percentage of that is going towards the fundraising, which is why we haven't quite got a total yet, because we're still raising a bit of money through the patches. So that's available on the Jedi Archives store website. I think it's $6.99 for this year's patch and $4.99 for last year's, and that just goes to the price difference. We found this year, that's one of the things that is obviously difficult. Is, as we all know, prices are rising for everyone, and it's difficult to get stuff done. But those patches were really cool design. The one that's available on the site is the a image of the Millennium Falcon, with Dorchester Strikes Back 2025. So great fun one. If you didn't get one on the day and you were at the event and you want to get it, or if you just want to be part of the fundraising that we've done for the Children's Ward charity for Dorchester County Hospital and for blood cancer, that would be great. So they are available there.
Awesome. You have to send me some images of those, and we'll get them put on the promotional graphic I make for the episode. We'll get those promoted there.
Yep.
Jace, is there
Also,
anything? Oh, go ahead,
um,
Steve.
I was going to say also give a shout out to Dark Bear for the cocktails,
Oh yes.
because I got to be honest, I had a Jawa juice. wow. There was plenty of rum in it, so thank you very much. It was very, very good. It was just what I needed. About I think it was about 3 o'clock on Saturday afternoon. I was just like, yeah, I need a drink now. Help. So the guys at Dark Bear also, we need to say thank you to those guys as well.
Yeah, I sadly didn't get a chance to sample one, but I would have really enjoyed it.
I didn't either, but it did look really cool. So Dark Bear sort of had a mini bar set up in the main hall where they were serving sort of Star Wars themed cocktails and mocktails. So there was non-alcoholic versions available as well, and they looked really colourful and looked really cool. And the guy there was really showing us his mixing skills, which was really cool. Is there anything about the day that we've missed, Jace, that you want to cover?
Yeah, obviously, I I got to interview also John Scott Glover from Sabre Guild and Jeff Hawley from Rebel Legion, and also Simon Spencer representing the Dark Empire, who, although Simon would have been in costume, but sadly, due to health issues, he was there just to give us moral support. But yeah, so that was another three of the groups that we got to get up on stage, talk about their experiences. Obviously, it was great having Jeff there from the Rebel Legion. I've known Jeff on and off from different conventions over the years. And he's a character, and talking about his experience was great. Likewise, John Scott Glover, I think most people know him from the Sabre Guild and his Sabre days. And watching him demonstrate to the kids and just be a, a Jedi or Sith is great fun. And also, as I say, Simon talking about the Dark Empire, which is a relatively new group that's gradually finding its feet. So it was great to have some sort of representation of them, because obviously, everyone knows the 501st. It is the main recognized one. It's got the Vaders and it's got that, but there are so many other costuming groups that also, do a lot of work for charity, and just have a lot of fun as groups. So it was great to be able to showcase the work that they were doing as well.
No, it certainly was. Obviously, as the day ends, I think we packed down pretty well, to be fair. And for me, what was really awesome was the social aspect of the event afterwards. And I'll probably let Steve take us away with our pizza social, should we call it?
Yeah, it was a bit haphazard to say the least. We all crashed into Weatherspoons as you do, cheap beer, and just to celebrate what we'd done because it had been a real success. And I think we all congregated in there and had a few beers together, which was really nice. And I think the arrangement was to go back to Jedi Archives and order some pizzas. And me and Jason are at this pizza place where I'd eaten 12 months ago after I'd finished Dorchester Strikes Back Part 1. And it's now changed hands. It's now called Eat Pizza Dorchester. If you're ever in the area, you will not get a better pizza. I've got to be perfectly honest. We got talking to the guys after me and Jason at their Friday night and said, look, if we do Dorchester Strikes Back in 2026, can we have your restaurant for the night to do our after party? And the guys went, yeah, no problems at all. Just give us a bit of notice. We can get you sorted. We'll sort you out. Fast forward 12 months, we end up in there for our after party this year. We're a little bit persuading for Ibes and Satcher, who were the hosts in there. But to be fair, they came through massively. We came to an arrangement of how we'd arrange the food to help him keep his just eat runs going and all those sort of things. But yeah, they were absolutely did us proud. I think some of the best pizzas some people have eaten, the chicken tikka masala pizza, I think you guys will agree is to die for.
It was certainly delicious. I thoroughly enjoyed it. It was my treat day as well on my diet, so I certainly did treat myself. It was awesome.
Yeah, so those guys, they just pulled it out of the bag unbelievably. It was quite funny actually because we'd all gone through and they'd rearranged all the chairs and everything for us, and there was a table missing, and there's a real narrow corridor through the shop, and they couldn't get the table in the front of the restaurant through to the back. So Sasha, he actually picked the table up and carried it round the streets of Dorchester to get to the back entrance to the shop, the sort of like the storage area entrance, and bought it through there for us. So he walked all the way around the street to Dorchester carrying a table just to get it to the back door. So we got somewhere to eat our pizzas.
We certainly did, and they were delicious. The sides were delicious as well. I remember some halloumi sticks and some fries, all very delicious. Good sauces as well. To me, that's an aspect of I've never really experienced before, like the social side of like the afterwards of a fan event. So that was really cool. I think that brings in sort of everything DSB 2025 that went on. I don't know if there's anything missing, Jace, that you want to go over.
No, obviously, I just want to, again, the social aspect, that was something that we didn't get to do much the year before. And sadly, a lot of people from the event couldn't stay on to do it again this year. If we do it next year, that's something that I think I really want to make sure we've got something in place, because I think it'd be great if we can all get together afterwards, because it is a big part of making the day a success, because you work so hard to do it, to then sit down and just relax and talk about the day and plot maybe for the next year. It's great fun, and it was great to get the people that we had around the table there. It would be great to get even more of them there. So that is a wish list for if we do Dorchester Strikes Back 2026. That's a big if. But yeah, no, all I really want to say there is thank you, firstly, to you two guys, for the support that you've given me, not just for the weekend, but the run up to the event and that, because it's been a hard hack. Obviously, it's one of the things that you do a lot of talking to different people, trying to get everything in the right place at the right time. And I just have to go back to what you said earlier about the going out into the high street at the beginning of the day. The plan originally had been to take the troops down and troop them up through the high street, um, but it was just too much for everyone to be able to do it at the same time. It was quite a hot day, so chose not to. But we did go out onto the high street for a quarter of an hour, 20 minutes, so that people could see that we were there. And obviously, Ben this year had also managed to get some banners done, which we had on outside the Corn Exchange. But I have to admit, it was almost like last year when I turned around on the stage, opening the doors to the Corn Exchange that morning. Again, I wasn't expecting the amount of people waiting to come in. They were queuing down the street, which was great. Obviously, we then went out and had a play around in the high street. We actually lost the guys from the UK Garrison because they decided to walk up to Brewery Square for a bit of a reunion, and they were telling people about the event and getting them to come down to the Corn Exchange. So I got to thank the guys for doing that, because it was a lot of walking, but they did it. So that obviously, was great that they were there promoting the event as well as themselves. And they've been a huge support as well as all the other groups. But yeah, it was then going back into that hall, and as Steve said, when we turned around on the stage, but uh, when I got back to the hall to come in to do the introduction at the beginning, to get up onto the stage, I had to fight my way through the crowd. So that was awesome to see, and it sort of made things a lot more real feeling when you get there. But no, overall, it was a great day. Lots of I actually had some friends from the area that didn't get there or didn't speak to me last year that came down and got a chance to say hello. And the beauty of having obviously Pete, Sarah, and Steve, and the more organised way we had the stage this year, it gave the chance for me to get out, talk to people that were there at the event, but also to spend a bit more time with all the groups that had given up their time. Because last year I barely got to speak to them because we were so busy. So it was really great. It was a lot more flowing. I didn't realise how much time I had spent on the stage this year until I just realised how many different interviews I did. But obviously, I left you two guys do a lot of the prize giving and all that sort of stuff, which was great because it was something that added to the day for the people, but also for the groups to be able to interact with everyone. So yeah, the more I think about it, the more I'm astounded at what we managed to achieve. And I've just got to say a huge thank you to Ben for believing in it and for the support that he gives and you know putting on the event. I just drag the people there and make sure Ben's Ben's not got to worry too much about what's being done on stage and everything. So, but his support's huge, and the local community, the guys that turn up from the shop to help run the day, the guys that were out on the door counting people in, that they did a great job because we wanted to know how many people we had come through the door, and it was just amazing seeing the amount of people that we did have come through. So yeah, overall, huge thank you to everyone that turned up, everyone that got involved, and everyone that kept me sane for the day.
Well, it certainly was an epic day. Steve, what was your favourite thing about this year's Dorchester Strikes Back?
Oh, I don't really want to say I've got a favourite part of the day. I think the biggest part of what I think we've done is I think we landed it, and we landed it a lot better than I thought we would. There's always a fear when you put an event of this magnitude that you're going to turn up, open the doors, and there's nobody there. The tumbleweeds coming through the front door, and as Jay said, when we went to the front door, there was 200 people queuing outside, and I was like, "Oh crap! Okay, it's got real. Let's get back in there and just get the last couple of things done. We need to make sure we've polished it now." And yeah, just everybody comes together, and I think the community of Dorchester realises what the event is about now. And I think so we're doing things for the community of Dorchester. It's a free to attend event, and I think everybody's embraced that. I did have a really good conversation with Adam from the Wagamama branch, and he turned around and says the reason he did free food for everybody this year was because he'd had good takings last year when Dorchester Strikes Back 24 was on, because we were right on Brewery Square because of the trade we bought into him, and it was his turn to give something back to the community, which I thought was an absolutely admirable thing to do. And it was that sense of pride and community. It's not my local community. I live 170 mile away. You live even further, Pete. But it was a sense of giving something to a community and it being appreciated. And I think that was the thing I'll take away rather than something that we did. I think that is my main takeaway from the weekend.
Yeah, I think that's a great takeaway. My takeaway was just how, I wouldn't say chaotic, but like just how like crazy it was in a fun way. Like I think obviously from getting there and setting up to then starting, like I feel I never had like a moment's like boredom or minute to stop. And obviously we were tired afterwards, but it was fun all the way through and like hectic in a good way. And I really enjoyed that. And that was because based on the amount of people there who visited, 1,000 people through the doors, fantastic. It was based on the costuming groups who were there and the stores who were there and the other people given the time who we were always interacting with. But like I said, I didn't even get a chance to even have lunch, which was fine because obviously we had the delicious pizza later and I'd made up for it. But yeah, I think just how fast paced it was and how just just enjoyable it was for me. Is probably my takeaway of how good it was. Jason, I'll put you on the spot. What's one thing that we didn't do this year that we would want to do next year if you did it?
Um, this year, next year, if we do it, I'd like to have um possibly some guests. Obviously, we had Matthew, which is great, but possibly some surprise guests for people, or not so surprising guests for people. And also obviously to do the social event with more of the guys that were involved, so that we get to properly properly realize what we did. But otherwise, a lot of what I wanted to do has been done. Obviously, I there's a few other groups that I'd like to get there, and uh, I hope that maybe if they see what was achieved, they might be able to join us if we do it next year. Um, but overall, there was so much in that day. As you said, didn't get a chance to stop, which was a good thing. We were running on adrenaline the whole day. Um, and the only thing was I just kept drinking, a few cups of coffee and a few things of water. But it was overall it was a lot of what I wanted to achieve. And I just got to thank everyone for helping me do that.
One thing I would love to do next year if we do it would be I'd love to do like on the spot quiz, like go out into the crowd with a live mic and like just grab a person, ask them a random Star Wars question. If they get it right, they get like an on the spot prize. That could be really fun, I think. But obviously you need to have A, good prizes, B, good questions, and obviously be a master of the audio side of it, but that would be really cool. Steve, any closing thoughts on anything Dorchester Strikes Back related?
Just to say thank you to the community, to say thank you for Jace for asking me to be part of it, and yourself, Pete, and Ben. I've just got so many thank yous, really, for people who just turned up. People I've had friend requests. I was having people asking me for selfies. This is just like it got a bit surreal at points on Saturday, but it was just a fantastic event. It just worked really well. I'm just really proud of what we did. There's that, and that's all I can sum it up as. Yeah, it's just a fantastic event, and just enjoyed it so much.
No, it certainly was an enjoyable event. Jason, any closing thoughts on anything Dorchester Strikes Back?
No, I think I've summed up pretty much everything. Obviously, just big thank you to everyone.
Well, I would like to say thank you to yourself, Jace, and to Ben Rivers, obviously the pioneers of Dorchester Strikes Back, the ideas guys who sort of had the idea and brought it to life. Obviously, big thanks to you, Steve, obviously making last year's, sort of interview side of it work well, and then obviously being a big part of helping us sound really good, and also just for me personally, just giving that support and just being there as we were going through the day. Like I really benefited from having some experienced shoulders there to sort of guide us in that environment. So that was really great. I think that brings an end to our feedback episode on Dorchester Strikes Back 2025. Watch this space for news on the possibility of Dorchester Strikes Back 2026. It could be coming, but watch our social medias. You will see it on there. But that brings an end to this episode. May the force be with you all. And remember, always tell that to Kanja Club.